Well, good evening from Vernon, British Columbia, in the beautiful Okanagan Valley in, in BC. And this is September the 28th at about 6:40 p.m. And weather's still pretty good. Hope it's good where you are, and hope it sticks on around for a while. I mean, everybody would like to have a nice warm fall, I'm sure of that. And so, what's the big push today? Well, I think one of them is cost of living. You know, the prices go up like really going. I mean, they've really gone up. Did I mention to you? I think I did. Where I went to Walmart and bought a few things. That's before I moved here into this rest home. And one of them was a little half ham. You know, they used to be about $6.95 or something like that. Well, anyway, Walmart had them on at $10, and I use a cart there all the time. So I go out and I thought I'd get up to a teller. No, couldn't do that. I had to go into the self-serve. So I got into the self-serve, and this woman come up and says, "You'll have to get a bag. You'll need a bag." Oh yeah, I said, that's right. Yeah, she said you can buy one here for $1.75. Ah, I said, is that right? Hmm. Well, I said, it just hit me wrong. I said, you know what? I said, I can't buy groceries here. I don't have a bag. So I tell you what, just keep your groceries and your cart, and we'll see you later sometime. Goodbye. And I walked out. I don't usually do things like that. But anyway, from there I went over to Safeway. And I think most people in this country know what Safeway is. I bought just about the same things. Got up to the teller. She's ringing him through. That half ham was $16. From one store to another, $6 on a $6 ham. That's not 8%, boy. No, 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 no. That's pretty bad. That's bad. And I'm convinced that that's really hurting some people. Not all. Some people just seem to be absolutely oblivious to this inflation. And you know, they seem to be in an age bracket, I don't know, 24 to 39 or something like that. And they don't seem to, I don't hear them complaining that much. You know, I mean, I don't understand how people can pay $2,400 to rent a little apartment. I mean, how can they do that working as a teller or a clerk or a laborer? How are you going to do that? That's damn near impossible, in fact. A laborer gets right now, usually in construction or anything like that, or maintenance, they get $25 an hour, which works out to be $4,000 a month, which is damn near $50,000 a year, which is, you know, what a lot of guys used to think was a hell of a good wage. But you know, the cost of things, oh man. Why, I just don't know. What is it, because people have too much money or have a lot of money? I mean, they buy $1 million homes, 800,000, 600,000, 800,000, and finance it, and now they got payments of $5,000 a month. How do they do that? I don't see like screaming and hollering about it. I think there's going to be people who have to let their houses go. They won't be able to pay it with the new interest rates, as there's new interest rates coming out at around 7 to 8% now, and they bought in at maybe 2.5 or 3. So that's, more than double their mortgage payment. When that happens, I'll bet there's quite a few that'll have to say, can't do it, sorry, goodbye. And that's sad. That's a real sad thing. I know I've gone through that when I was younger. Ended up in a recession in '86, I think it was. I was selling condominiums built up by the hospital. Nice condominiums, 2-bedroom condos in a nice building, 17 units, 62,500. Couldn't sell them. Interest rates were 21%. The mortgage company that I had to build the place went broke, went into bankruptcy. So I just carried on for a while and just basically rented them, tried to sell them, rent them, and that didn't work. Finally, another company in Toronto, which took over the debt of this company in Vancouver, got a hold of me and said, do you want to sell your interest in Highland Park for $1? And I thought about it for a minute and I said, send the paperwork. Because I couldn't keep up. I mean, even with the rent, I couldn't keep up hardly with the expenses. And I had to settle it out somehow. I mean, I had second mortgages galore on the orchard I owned. And it was a terrible time. Guy across the street had built a 26 or 30 unit apartment building, I think it was. He lost that, plus a couple of warehouses. Nobody came crying on his doorstep. There was so much equity went into the oblivion, just gone. Equity, gone. Just gone, never to get back. That's a terrible thing when things go like that. But anyway, that was a lesson, I guess. It was a tough one to go through, though. Yeah, I drive by there now, and that building just still looks really great. It was a good building, too. But anyway, that's the history. That's, I can't do anything about that. But the way things are going is what bothers me. I mean, I'm at the tail end of this existence that, I'm living in. But, and I'm trying to get it so that it's no use for me to get, upset about it and going to save the planet and no, we're going to do this and that. No, I've decided no, I can't do that. It doesn't pay for me to do that. I can't control it one iota. And neither will anyone else be able to. That's going to be a big lie. And people are going to suffer. I'll tell you, suffer for no good reason. They can think it's a good reason, but it won't do any good. The governments and the United Nations, whatever, they'll say, we're going to save the planet if it kills you. And that's what's going to happen. It's going to kill a lot of people, which they don't care about anyway. I came into this world in 1934, and basically I was too young to go into the army when that happened, and my dad was too old, and so didn't have anything to do with that. And I've lived a pretty, a life that, no big wars and things like that. I've had things happen in my family that were, pretty bad, but other than that, it's been a pretty good life for me in a way. I mean, I had some ups and downs, that's for sure. But I rely on one thing. And I decided this, maybe 15 years ago. Now, let's see. About that. Maybe 10 to 15, something like that. When I say 15, then it means I was 75. So I think it was around 75, 80, I can't remember exactly. That I could trust what Jesus Christ said in the Bible. And I could trust what God said in the Bible. And I realized I couldn't really trust anyone else. But that wasn't that strong then. It's only in the last 3, 4, 5 years that I decided I can't trust people. The human race, the media, the churches, the politicians. And I can't trust what my neighbor says, or my daughter, or my son, because they've been deceived. And the big deceiver is the media. It has become the absolute enemy of the people. And it's done it basically for money. They're paid to do this. If they don't do that, they're not on the good side of the people who pay their bills. And, the Bible basically is a true book. And now people say, it was inspired, I can tell you it was inspired by God for people to write it. I think it took something like 1,500 years by 45 different authors. And a good example is that Moses wrote the book of Genesis. And that's about the creation of the world and this and that and whatever. I'll guarantee you that Moses was not there then. God inspired him to write this, every single word. That's why the Bible is actually an extra-terrestrial book. It's not of this earth. It's given to this planet, given to the earth, given to the people of this planet. And that's why it's been a book of books for thousands of years now. It's a real handbook. The thing that people think, they don't think about this when they say, oh, the Bible. Yeah, we've got a Bible, blah, blah, blah. You read it? Nah, I haven't read it. But that's the main thing about the Bible is it's a book about one family. The family of Adam. Now that's, when you think of it, if that's an extraterrestrial book given to the earth about one family that God created and all the generations after him, it's not about families in, Africa, India, South America, England. No. It's about a family from, I forget where he was at, but Saudi Arabia, was it? Or was it Israel then? He was, I think he was kind of in it, but he might have been in Iraq or somewhere, some part of Iraq, Jordan or somewhere. But anyway, he was close by in there. So that's where it all started. And now Israel is that little sliver of land, just a sliver. There's places in Saskatchewan, I think, is bigger than Israel. the and such a thing that things all started from around there, and you know, when the Israelites were driven out of the north part of Israel, which was the 10 tribes of Israel, there was 6 million of them. They, you know, they had big families, and they grew. It just grew way faster than we grow now. And you know, this Jacob had, I don't know how many wives and concubines and whatever else, and he had sons by every one of them until he had 12 sons. And the whole story goes on and on and on about the story about Abraham and the 10, 12 tribes of Israel, and goes right into the idea that when this world is finished, this, you know, burnt to a crisp, and God says He's going to do a new heaven and a new earth. So this earth's going to be all different. In fact, there are those who claim for the city of God to fit on this earth, that's the city that's supposed to be already created in heaven and will descend on this planet. Only that won't be the same planet, it'll be a bigger planet. You know, is so big, but that's the good news part. Until then, it's not the good news. And, oh yeah, I know what I was going to say. The thing is, even when that planet or city descends on this planet, 1,500 miles square, its names are, the foundations are named after, I think it's apostles of Israelites. The gates are named for, I don't know, more Israelites somehow. And 12 steps going up is something else, but it's all about Israelites. Now, how important are the Israelites in the kingdom to come? It appears very important. Now, the other kicker is this. Who were they? Who were the Israelites? Where are they today? Are you looking at one? Am I looking at one? They seem to have, when they were dispersed from Israel, God says they will forget who they are. And they'll have to travel and live and whatever for the next 2,520 years before He will release the blessing that He gave to Abraham on it, which was the blessing of land and this and that and wealth and riches and blah, 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 blah. When the 2,520 years were up, bango, it happened. They had moved all into Europe and basically Western Europe mostly, Scandinavian countries, Ireland, Scotland, England, France, Belgium, Holland. And they started to immigrate. Where? North America, which happened to be, I think, reserved for them. And what color skin were they? You're looking at one. They were all white-skinned, and I believe that that's the source of white-skinned people is Israelites. Now the trouble that's coming up, this Jacob's trouble, tribulation, whatever you want to call it, and it's coming, and people kind of know it, you know. They can see it's going to be, something's going to be bad. That's who it's going to really hit. It's the white race. They're the ones that are going to suffer the very most, according to that. And can't say that the white race wasn't part of the ones that were given a blessing by Abraham. They got the best land on the planet. Nobody else did. They got the land in Western Europe, the land in North America, the land in Australia, New Zealand, South America, or not South America, South Africa, and all riches come from the land. In the long run, that's where it comes from. Believe me, I've seen that. In Alberta, has got some of the richest land in the world. There's no question about that. On the farm we lived in, when Dad would break up a few acres of new land or whatever, lots of times the black dirt was at least 3 feet deep. And fertile land, not sand and rocks. So I believe that the white race has been blessed. Mind you, they were the only race that tried to evangelize the world for Jesus Christ. And missionaries went out from England all over the place, United States all over the place, Canada all over the place, nowhere else. So it was the white race that tried to promote the Jesus Christ's sayings and Jesus Christ's book, the Bible, and God's book, of course. But that's coming to an end. But then the thing that everybody forgets is time goes on. God created time for us to have time, morning, night, evening, whatever. That'll be finished. There'll be time no more. That's what it says. This angel will come out and say, time is no more. And that makes it that much closer to where if you're a righteous enough person and chosen, and righteous, you know what righteous means. Righteous just means right with God. Now, God wants people to be right with Him. He does a lot of good, did a lot of things to try to make it that way. He got together with the Word before time began and agreed beforehand that the Word would become flesh and would have to suffer and die as a penalty for people breaking His law, the people that He was going to create. They were not to keep His law, and His law was supreme. If they broke His law, they would have to die. Now, there was only one other thing, a substitute to die, and that Jesus agreed to that. That's the Word. He agreed to that before He came to earth and became known as Jesus. So, but I don't think enough people study and look into things to see what is the end game here. You know, I mean, when you look into it and read the promises, you know, you can't beat the book of Revelation for a good book. The last book in the Bible, whether you're a Christian or believer or what, you should read it, because that's the whole thing. The whole thing is right there. Jesus covers everything, right? And there's nothing after that. And it's a harbinger to what's coming, and it's so great that nobody can really explain it or you know, talk about it too much, because they can't envision it. It's so so great. And there's going to be, it's going to happen, and people are going to be converted, resurrected into a body that's going to live in that deal. That's really worth talking about, you know. I mean, there'll come a day when they'll say, you can't talk about that on YouTube or something or whatever, you know. No, that's banned. That's hate language or something. It's going to get to that. I'll be banned off for even talking like this. Even though I'm not, you know, I'm not a religious person, really. I believe in God, I believe in Jesus, but I don't know if that's called religious. I think that's the only thing you can do, really. If you, I was baptized when I was 84. I think it was. It took a while, but I got it done, or I didn't get it done. I asked for it to get done, and God supplied the guy to do it. I did it. I'm very glad I did, because that is one thing about baptism, actual baptism. No matter what age you are, it is a remission of all your sins, all your life, every one of them. You start, because the idea is that you die and you are raised again with Jesus. And you have no past. It's gone. That's the forgiveness part that people really need. And, I mean, it's not hard to do. You've got to decide that you believe what Jesus says, what God says, and acknowledge that. And then there's no problem getting baptized. Just find somebody who's been baptized who can baptize you in, you know, pool of water. It has to be immersion. That's the immersion is God's signal, whatever, of you dying to your sins and being raised up again. He's made it that way. So it could be done. So there's things to do, things not to do. I'm starting to count the days to December 5th when I'm supposed to go on a cruise to Puerto Vallarta and Sea of Cortez and whatever, 11 days. Trying to look forward to that. Got a balcony unit. And the only thing is I've got to figure out how to get through the airport. That's my big problem. I gotta get a wheelchair, get them to get me a wheelchair and go through. I've done that in some big airports in the States. Had some woman wheel me right through security, right through from one end to the other, right to the plane's door. I thought, man, that is good. And she did. And I give her a tip. Yes. You know, the thing is, it really is important to have something to live for. Something that is worth getting up in the morning for. Doesn't have to be big things. No. Tomorrow I got to do this. Tomorrow I got to go do that. Oh yeah, that's right. I got to do that tomorrow. That's the kind of thing that gets you up in the morning. And I know that when I eventually give up on going to work, after I know a lot, I think I'll most likely have to kind of quit before I'm 90. I'm 90 in April. But then, you know, I don't have hobbies. I don't have any hobbies. This is the hobby I've had for like 30 years. Internet, computers, blah, blah, blah. I suppose I'll carry on for a while. Well, that's 29 minutes and 54 seconds. That's long enough. I want to wish you a good evening, a good tomorrow, and I'm going to ask for God to bless you, because God's blessing really means a lot. I can't do it, but God can do it, and I can ask Him to do that. So God bless you and keep you, and I'll talk to you later.